So I'm going to start with my dough, and I'll be needing 4 cups all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon salt, half cup granulated sugar, 1 cup warm milk, half cup melted butter, and 2 tablespoons of yeast. I'm going to leave all the ingredients and the measurements in the description box below. And then I'm going to be using my bread machine to make this because it's going to help me knead and proof the dough. So I'm just going to make my dough here, and then I'll bake it in the oven. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to start adding my wet ingredients. I'll add my milk, melted butter. I'm going to beat my eggs before I add them. Now I'll add my eggs. I'll add the sugar. And I'll add the salt. Now I'm going to add my flour. And then I'll just put a hole in the middle and add my yeast. If you're kneading this by hand or you're using a stand mixer, you don't have to follow this order. This is the order in which I should make bread in my bread machine. So that's why I'm doing it like this and adding the yeast on top and not blooming it first. So I'm going to cover this. And then I'm going to select the dough function. So it's on dough, and now I'm just going to do this. So it's going to knead my dough for me, and when it's done, it's going to proof it. So this is how it looks. So I'm just going to cover this. It's going to take about 1 hour and 30 minutes for it to knead and proof my dough for me, and then I'll be back to roll it out. So it's been 1 hour 30 minutes. Let's check on our dough. You can see that the dough has proofed, it has doubled in size. So I'm just going to bring out the bread bucket. This is it. Now I'm just going to lightly flour my surface so that I'll be able to turn my dough. Now I'm going to get the dough out. How it looks. So I'm going to roll my dough out into a big rectangle. I'm going to flour the surface just a little bit and my rolling pin, and then we roll. I'm going to flip my dough to the other side so it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to keep rolling until I'm happy with the size. So I'm just going to keep rolling and using my pastry cutter to guide it so that I have my rectangle shape. Now that I'm happy with the shape, it's time to make the filling. So I'm going to be using 1 cup of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon powder. Then I'll mix. I love the smell of cinnamon. Once you're done mixing, we're going to set this aside, and then I'm going to be using some softened butter, and I'll spread it over the dough so that the sugar can stick to the dough. So you want it to be soft but not melted so that you can spread it. You want it to be a spreadable consistency. So I'm just going to, if it's too hard, it's going to tear your dough. Make sure that that butter is spread everywhere on the dough. The next thing I'm going to do now is to spread my cinnamon sugar all over the dough. Yeah, gives me better control. Once you're done spreading your cinnamon sugar, it should look like this. So the next thing we are going to do is to roll it up. So I'm just going to take it from the top. The next thing I'm going to do is to prepare my pans. So I'll just be using my butter wrapper, and I'll smear this all over my pan. Yeah, this should fill 3 pans. Now I'm going to cut my rolls. I'll be using some thread. You can use dental floss. I don't have, so I'm just going to be using some thread to cut this. So slide it under the roll, and then you twist it like this. Okay. This is how we want it to look. You can see the beautiful spiral. Okay. So you slide it under the roll. When you get to the measurements you want, you twist it over each other and cut. Look at how cute it looks. So I'm just going to put this into my pan. And then you want the edge pieces to touch each other, okay? Look at it. So I'm just going to keep doing this till I fill up my pan. So this is how they look. It filled 3 of my round pans, and then I had to put some in my square pan. So now I'm just going to cover this for the second proofing, and then I'm going to let it proof for 30 minutes before we go bake them. It's been 30 minutes. The rolls have gotten a bit bigger, so I'm going to go put them in the oven at 375 F for 30 minutes. I'll start checking at 20 minutes just to make sure it doesn't get too brown. Okay. All right, my cinnamon rolls are ready. Look at how cute they turned out. Look at all of them. So I'm going to set it aside, and while this cools, I'm going to whip up my cream cheese glaze. So I'll be using 1 package of cream cheese softened, and 3 cups of powdered sugar. You want to use powdered sugar and not granulated sugar so that the frosting will not be grainy. Now I'm going to whip this. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then I'll start adding some whole milk, a little bit at a time, till I get to the consistency I want. I want it to be a little bit loose. Now I'm going to pour this into a squeeze bottle. You can also use a spoon to pour it on it, or you can pour it in a piping bag. I'm just going to pour it into this bottle. Now I'm going to spread my glaze over the rolls. Just go like this. I also go this way. All right, let's cut into one and see how it looks. I'm going to pick from this one. Ooh, look at how it looks under. Look at how it looks under. Okay, let's get one.